Welcome to Spotlight on Glassboro. I'm your host, Heather Simmons, and today's a really exciting day in the borough of Glassboro. We're celebrating the ribbon cutting for 220 Rowan Boulevard. It is the newest mixed-use building on the Rowan Boulevard project. It's the third mixed-use building. This one contains retail, medical, and housing, both student apartments and market-rate apartments. We're about to go downstairs for the ribbon cutting. I hope you'll join us.
Welcome, everyone. Just another normal day in downtown Glassboro. Now, we couldn't have a nicer day, and I'm going to MC this for you. I'll be brief because I know some people are standing out in the sun and it's hot, and we got a lot of wonderful speakers. But I just want to say that none of this happens without partnerships, and we have so many wonderful partnerships. First, I want to thank my borough staff and our professionals. You know, sometimes they don't get recognized, but almost all of them have touched this whole project in some way or another behind the scenes, and they don't get a lot of recognition. So I'd like to thank them for all they do and for being part of it. Also got to say, I have, in my opinion, and maybe I'm biased, the best governing body in the state of New Jersey. None of this development, none of these bold steps, it started with the redevelopment of Poplar and Lake and the old Franklin House, them being bold to make the steps that we did. This isn't normal, typical government stuff, but they've been the driver and catalyst behind that. I'd like to give them all a round of applause. Mayor Leo McCabe and Councilman George Casabone are with us today. Freeholder Director Bob Damager had something come up at last minute. Freeholder Heather Simmons will be standing in for him. And also Freeholder Jim Jefferson. We invited our former Council President, Tony Fiola, and I'm not sure if I see him in the crowd, but he had a lot to do with this. So in case you're here, Tony, thank you. And if you're not, thank you in absentia. I want to thank Nexus, Dante Germano, Rhonda Bruzzi, and Michael Cizalco for all they've done. Also with us, South Jersey Times publisher Joe Owens. With us from South Jersey Federal Credit Union. They're always sponsoring everything here. Raul Cottrell, Ben Griffith, and Ken Barnshaw. From Cooper University Healthcare, Andy Bush and Lou Bessich. Former Rowan Board of Trustee member Nick Petroni. New Jersey EDA, who was a big partner in this and funding this program, Paul Seppi. And Loretta Winters from the Gloucester County NAACP. And he's always there when we need him, and can't say how much we appreciate that. I'd like to introduce for a few words Senate President Steve Sweeney.
We still in Glassboro? You know, this is quite a remarkable day. I mean, the weather is gorgeous, but, you know, I was just talking to Joe. Back in 1998, when me and Joe were freeholders, he started talking about this Rowan Boulevard. And we're like, well, what's Rowan Boulevard? And the town had done a study on how much money was available here and all the commerce that could be created here. Joe had a vision and had a council that stuck together and realized this is a long time in the making. But we needed a partner. And until Dr. Hushman came here, that is when we finally had a real partner. And Dr. Hushman, I want to thank you personally, because none of this is possible if it wasn't without the cooperation of the president of this university getting their board on board with us. So thank you, Doctor. And, you know, and having a developer like Nexus that does outstanding quality work. Again, Dante, thank you too, because, you know, that's a big piece of it. But you know, you think about it. I remember what was here. I remember what it looked like. You got about $350 million worth of private funding here now, creating hundreds of construction jobs, creating the university that we want. Rowan University is one of the finest universities in the country now. It's one of the only schools in the country, the second school in the country with 2 med schools, one of the finest engineering schools. You see the business school coming up, the engineering school. This is happening. It's exciting. You see Freshman's Village. We are creating a new Glassboro, a Glassboro that 20 years ago was struggling dramatically financially. This is what can be, and this is what can happen when like-minded people work together and focus to get things done. And we were able to create a change in the Economic Opportunity Act. And people talk about the tax credits going to Camden. Well, they're not just going to Camden. Hopefully there'll be some more for the next phase here to finish this up. But look, this was a long time in the making. Joe Briganti is the guy, the day-to-day guy, deserves an enormous amount of congratulations for getting this done, because every time there was a roadblock, I can tell you, he would call you 5, 10, 15 times. He was the guy in the background that was really working on this with the council. So for me, I'm a little longer than I should have been. It's so exciting to see something that could be, to have vision, to have the will and the strength and the fortitude to make sure you see it through. Congratulations to the mayor, council, to everyone involved, and Dr. Hushman for your leadership. This is what happens when everyone works together. Win, win, win. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I took a quick ride around town just to get out of my office this morning and see what's happening in other parts of town, and it's amazing what kind of impact this development has done for the image of Glassboro. And when you drive to other areas out towards 55 and you see all the residential construction during a time when residential construction has been down, it's just amazing, all the new building and development that's going on all over here. And it's because of our partners we have to thank for all that happening. One of our great partners for many, many years, former mayor of Paulsboro, and now our 3rd District Legislative Assemblyman, John Kelly from Paulsboro. We go way back, and John's always there when we need him. He's doing a great job for the district, and he always did a great job for Paulsboro and their port and our brother and sister community. John, please say a few words.
Thank you, Joe. Good afternoon to everybody. The Senate President summed it up very well, and his recognition of Joe and the council and the vision is appropriate, and it just doesn't happen. These things just don't happen. I'd like to speak very briefly about what this project means from a distance. We have taken collectively some criticism from time to time, advancing the Economic Opportunity Act, talking about the need for tax credits, advancing and advocating for this university and what it means. Its now status as a research university and 2 medical schools. So as people look from a distance and they see this progress, it validates. It validates our position that this can work. And in the greater picture about New Jersey, being an older state in the Northeast, our future lies in our past. We have to be smart to leverage our assets. In this case, it was the university about to grow and this welcoming municipality that for years, frankly, was shut out from the university discussion. And suddenly, as the opportunity for growth at the university was suddenly coming into focus, they recognized that, it really had to happen with a partnership. And that marriage happened comfortably. Well, sort of comfortably. But the point is, it is a partnership. And for all of us who are involved in the public policy of saying we need this a little extra help, the Economic Opportunity Act, the tax credits, to make the pieces finally work for the developer, that it can't happen without that. Look around you. The jobs that were created to do this, the jobs that remain afterwards. The kids will come here now because there is attractive housing, makes the university drive, and as Joe just mentioned, the collateral economy from it. That's what this vision is. And for those around the state who would look and say, what are you guys talking about? This is what we're talking about. Progress, reinventing New Jersey based on our assets, accentuating the positive, and having some vision. So congratulations to everybody associated, from the president to the board to this council to the developer. This is a good day, and we look forward to being back for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Just wanted to also mention a lot of what people don't know as each phase gets built. We're all huddling and working with the developers and everything on the next phases of development. So as we're having a ribbon cutting here, we're already planning for the next phase of Rowan Boulevard to be finished sometime around July of 2017, and for the final private building as well as the old movie theater site to be developed and grand opening on July of 2018. So we're not resting on our laurels, and this project is going to continue to move. We're going to continue to create jobs and create a new Glassboro. At this time, she's been a partner for us and one of our big assets on the freeholder board. We have a great freeholder board. I served on there for 13 years, and when I left, it was left in very good hands, and one of those members is our own Heather Simmons. I'd like Heather to say a few words.
Thank you, Joe. It's my pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Gloucester County Board of Chosen Freeholders. I'm here with fellow freeholder Jim Jefferson, and the Assemblyman and the Senate President painted in broad strokes what this project means. But for so many of you here, and I'm looking around, and a lot of you work in and are business owners at some of the 30 new businesses that have been created on this boulevard in the last 3 or 5 years, I want to paint for you a more specific picture. With the opening of this building, we now have 350 new jobs on Rowan Boulevard, including the 100 jobs that are created in this building. We have a total of 1,600 Rowan University students living on Rowan Boulevard, in the Rowan Boulevard apartments, in the Whitney Center, and in a few weeks on the 2nd through 5th stories of this building. The investment so far in this project is close to $200 million, with $150 million left to go. This is truly an example of what happens when government and education and healthcare partner with private investment and entrepreneurs in the community to build communities. Thank you to all of you for making this happen, and I can't wait until 2018 when we finish it up. Congratulations.
Thank you, Heather. I just wanted to quickly recognize two people. The former Chief of Staff to Rowan University and my liaison for many years, great partner of ours, Tom Gallia. And the current Chief of Staff and my current liaison now. Does a wonderful job supporting everything we're trying to do here. Bob Zazali. I even got your name right, Bob. The next guy, how long have you been the president now, Ali?
12 days.
12 days? How many years? About, I don't know, 5, however many years. I lose track of time.
I just come to work.
But we had a really good relationship going with Rowan coming into him coming in, and it's amazing. It was like lightning how much it escalated the day he arrived, and it hasn't stopped. He's non-stop, not only working for the betterment of Glassboro, but for the entire region. He gets under education, understands it's not about just teaching people things in the classroom. It's about the university being an economic engine for the whole region. And there's no way we'd be where we are without this partner, and I know he's got a lot of good announcements coming up. They're going to bring even more and more jobs to this area, which is only going to benefit Glassboro and the whole region. My good friend, our partner, Ali Hushman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, it's been, 9 years since I've moved to this wonderful town. At the beginning, I wasn't sure why I did what I did, quite honestly. Part of it was because the job was hard. But the town wasn't all that destination kind of looking. And from then, that day I said, wouldn't it be great if we can turn this town from a pass-through town where the 18-wheelers come and deliver fruit from one part of the state to the other into a destination so that people can stop, get out of their car, walk around the streets, go to a movie theater, go to a restaurant, go get their hair cut, go and get a couple of courses completed in a short period of time. We had that kind of courses too, 5-minute kind of a lecture, we have those. And it's just absolutely amazing. I am a runner, therefore I'm a dreamer. I dream big. I try to kind of go way beyond my capabilities and capacities. And I really dreamt big about this place. Still, I'm shocked and amazed what I see. And every time I stand in front of a podium and talk to you guys, I say, you ain't seen anything yet. And I'm going to repeat that. It's like Bill Murray in the Groundhog Days. Every time I speak, you ain't seen anything yet. Over the next month or so, you're going to have 4 more of these events related to Rowan. And over the next 3 or 4 years, God knows what will happen in here. It just warms my heart tremendously. And the reason for that one is really this. To me, really is about the community. It has nothing to do me being a champion or me being kind of bragging about this. Is the entire community coming together and building a quintessential college town where people can live, can enjoy living in here, feel safe, feel secure, where the police department is funded, where the school district is fully funded, where the roads are clean, where the garbage has been taken care of, where the borough can pay its bill, and hopefully, buy some nice stuff for Joe Burgandy. These are the reasons we are doing what we are doing, and it really, really is wonderful. And let me tell you, let me, as the president of the university, set the record very, very straight to everybody. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. None of these things at Rowan University. Rowan University would have been a 4th-class, 4th-tier university if it were not for Senate President Steve Sweeney. I want you to know that. This is a fact. When I came in here in 2006 from Drexel and I talked to my colleagues that I'm going to Rowan, I said, where is Rowan? We're talking about 20 miles away from here. And how do you spell it? I'd like you guys go to Philadelphia now, not to Philadelphia, and get a circle of 50 or 60 miles and go and ask about Rowan. I can assure you the response would be very, very different. In fact, some of those major universities are pretty nervous. Because, do you know why? Because we are now keeping our high school graduates, the most precious assets that we spend tons of money to educate. We keep them in this state, we educate them in this state, and they will become productive taxpayers in this state. And that's what doing this kind of partnership means, and I feel extremely, extremely proud. I want to thank you, Senate President. You really have done one thing, that your legacy will last for generations. Because this university is going to impact the lives of millions of people for years to come. Many people are going to have wonderful jobs. Many people are going to send their sons and daughters to feel safe and get a great education, all because of this man. I'm so grateful to you on behalf of the entire Rowan University and Rowan community. Thank you for being here. Let's celebrate this one and wait for the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. This next speaker, really looking back now, when we got to the garage phase and the Enterprise Center across the street of this development, we were at a crossroads and we hit a wall, and we weren't sure how we could make the rest of this project work. And it's funny how things turn around, because many years ago he went to Glassboro High School and played soccer, and I remember playing soccer with him, even though he'll remind everybody I'm at least 3 or more years older than him. But his father owned Danny's Pool Hall right next to Angelo's Diner, so he has a lot of roots here. And his company came in and bailed us out of a big problem, built the garage, built this building, made it work more functionally than ever. And I don't really have a lot of nice things to normally say about developers, but him and his entire staff are true partners. They care so much about the success, not just of the buildings they're building, but the success of the whole town and community and Rowan and the region. And we couldn't have better development partners. I want to thank Dante for his leadership, his friendship, and look forward to working together on many future projects. Dante Germano.
So we're getting kind of towards the end of this, so I will try to be brief. And rather, a lot of what was discussed today, and wonderfully stated by my colleagues here, is how we got to this point and how this was made available. And I have to briefly thank all of those folks that are behind me and everybody that was involved in this. without all those pieces put together, we couldn't have gotten this going and off the ground. But what I want to do is kind of take a minute just to thank the people that actually took it from the ribbon cutting and the topping off part of this to what you see today, which is actually building it. Because those guys don't always get a lot of the accolades for how these projects are put together, and it's a lot of work in a very short time period. I think this project was actually built in about 15 months, right, guys? So that's pretty phenomenal for a 316,000 square foot building with multiple uses in it. So a big shout out to my construction group, which did this. Tally, and where's Joe? And Joe, who's back here. Dan, Steve, John, all the folks here that really worked really hard to get this done. And we were under, the tax credits are a wonderful thing, and we couldn't have done it without it, but we were under some pretty tight time constraints because of them. And these guys bought in, and they said, don't worry, we'll get it done. And I had all the confidence in them, and they came through. So I think if you get a chance when you do the tours, you'll really see what I'm saying as far as how beautiful the building came out. So just a big shout out. And then just one comment on the building itself, because we have all these different pieces of Rowan Boulevard that are coming together, but I think this building is kind of the quintessential town and gown building, in the sense that we've kind of brought everything together in one building here. We have market rate apartments up on the 5th and 6th floor, 57 of them, that are basically for non-students. As was said, we have 456 student beds for undergraduate students, which I will tell you right now are completely full. And half of the apartments, by the way, are actually pre-leased. We have the retail that is slowly moving in. My friends at South Jersey Federal Credit Union will be the first retail tenants down the end here. We're working on several other deals over on as we come down the boulevard, which will get done. Certainly the Inspira Cooper relationship, and I can't thank them enough for their investment in this community, and it was a big deal to bring them to this community. I mean, they're going to be taking 28,000 square feet down at the end on Victoria on the first floor, and they'll be the first ones in on the first floor come October, and we'll get you all back together for a nice ribbon cutting for that. But that's a big deal, because that really is both there for the community, and it'll also be there to support the university in its growth. So that's where I talk about that kind of town and gown coming together in one building. So again, thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate it, and couldn't be more proud of my team for putting this together. Thank you.
Two quick acknowledgments. One, Les Vail, the executive director of the county chamber, couldn't be here, but we want to thank them. They're a great partner. And I also want to acknowledge, I see a lot of people here today that live in the neighborhood surrounding here, and we thank you so much for all your support during the construction and everything else. And glad you're part of the team and along with us and supporting everything that's happened. Thank you. And for some final words before the ribbon cutting, Leo's been so passionate about this project, and he's constantly bugging me for what's going on. What are we doing now? We're moving too slow. He's just maintained that enthusiasm all the way. He's a great part of our team and a great leader. Dr. Leo J. McCabe.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. We want South Jersey to be strong in health studies, in medical studies, and this is the start of it along Rowan Boulevard. And I certainly hope that it's not the end of what we see in health studies. I want to talk a little bit about, well, I'm going to talk about myself for a minute. I was appointed mayor almost 15 years ago. And I said, okay, I'll take the job for 1 year. And here I am nearly 15 years later. And the reason that I'm here is because of the great town council we've had from the very beginning. I found out very quickly that they had vision, they had stamina, they were willing to move ahead. And I will mention the presidents of council since I've been here. Michael Rosansky, when I first came, Tony Fiola was already mentioned, and George Casabon doing a fantastic job now. But all of the council people contribute, and they contribute to everything. You know, they said even 10 or 12 years ago, it can't be done. Well, it has been done, and it's going to continue to be done. And we look forward to more happening in the future. And all along High Street, we are seeing changes which go along with what's going on in the changes in the boulevard. And again, I would like to thank Dr. Ali Huishman for his sincere interest in Glassboro and doing what he can to make things happen. You know, when I first became mayor, the previous mayor, Alvin Speen, had said, you know, we have something here that nobody else has. We have not taken advantage of that. But what we had to do, there was kind of a separation between the town and gown. The important moment coming up at this time would be the ribbon cutting.
I'm with Joe Brigandi, Glassboro Administrator. We're on the 6th floor of 220 Rowan Boulevard. Joe, we just cut the ribbon on this building. We're here in one of the luxury apartments. This is actually the model. It's a market rate apartment. There are 57 units just like this. What does this type of housing mean for the Rowan Boulevard project?
Well, I think this is a big piece of the whole development, and it sort of is the start of bringing both the university community and the townspeople as well as the surrounding region together. There's a little something for everybody in this building. There are student apartments that are solely for Rowan students, but there are also 57 market rate apartments similar to this that people that want to live in a downtown urban setting with, you know, right next to a university can live in that type of setting. Everything in here is very high quality. The hardwood floors, the granite countertops, the cabinets are high quality. So they're built to last, built with quality, and we've already have half of them leased up, pre-leased. So we're real excited about bringing that mix in. And in addition, we have 27,000 square feet of medical use coming in, so that brings another segment of the population. And then we'll also have some retail downstairs with some nice sit-down restaurants as opposed to the quicker serve on the other part of the boulevard. So this brings a very unique mix that we were looking for as kind of the center of where Rowan ends and the downtown begins.
So, Joe, you mentioned that about 30 of these market rate units are pre-leased, and certainly they have upgraded finishes and stainless steel appliances, but that can't be the only reason why they're so popular. Why is this type of housing really popular right now?
I think it's just the excitement about Rowan growing and becoming a research university, the excitement that Glassboro is going through this major revitalization with $350 million of private investment, the fact that we're diversifying the development in the downtown, the fact that we're going to have a very nice, usable, event-filled town square, the fact that we're going to rebuild the building where our movie theater is, that Rowan's building an art gallery in downtown. So it's going to be a destination where people want to live, work, play, learn, the whole bit. So that's the exciting part.
So you mentioned that the first floor of this building, in addition to retail on the Rowan Boulevard side, has 27,000 square foot of medical. Can you talk a little bit about what that includes?
Yes, that's correct. They will have, it's a partnership between Inspira and Cooper. Inspira will do the urgent care, some primary care, some specialty offices. Cooper will do the Cooper Bone and Joint, OT, PT. There'll be a nice mixture, and with 27,000 square foot, there'll be approximately 50 to 70 employees here, doctors, nurses, aides, technicians, whatnot, that will create this new mixed economic driver for the downtown.
So economic driver is a good word for it. There are about 100 jobs so far in this building, and a total of about 350 new jobs on Rowan Boulevard, plus about 30 new merchants. What has this done for Glassboro as a whole?
Well, as a whole, it's really been a boost. Historically, during the down years, our unemployment here in Glassboro was generally below the county and state averages. We now exceed the county and state averages and actually have lower unemployment rates than both of them. And I think this project, this development, has a lot to do with that.
And one other question for you, since I have your ear. This building qualified for $22 million in tax incentives over 10 years from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. What will happen in the next phases of development on Rowan Boulevard with regard to those kinds of incentives?
Yes, besides the development of the town square, which will be starting shortly, there are 2 more private phases to be built, both mixed use. One of them will have a second parking garage. But the economics of making this project work are such that the EDA tax credits are still needed, and they're basically for the housing and retail pieces. And the fact that Glassboro is one of the few communities in South Jersey and in Gloucester County that qualify for those gives us a big edge. And the fact that the housing incentives, unlike the job incentives, have to be used by the end of 2018, it actually helps speed up the process of the development of the last 2 phases.
Well, Joe, it's a great day on Rowan Boulevard. The sun came out for us. We had a ribbon cutting on this building. Congratulations on another job well done.
Thank you very much.
I'm with Dante Germano, the COO and CFO of Nexus Properties. They're the builders and developers of 220 Rowan Boulevard. Dante, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, pleasure to be here.
What makes this building the quintessential partnership among education and healthcare and private investment?
Well, I think it's basically the different uses that are in the building. So when you look at all the other things that were built on Rowan Boulevard, they were all done separately, where you had student housing in one building, a parking garage separate from graduate education building, but nowhere did you actually kind of bring town and gown together. So this building kind of does that. So, we're sitting in an apartment right now up on the 6th floor, and the entire 6th floor and half of the 5th floor are market rate apartments. So there's no students in these floors, and they're segregated from the students, although they're in the same building. Whereas down below it, you have 456 students living there, separate elevators, separate entrances, but yet they're together in the same building. So it's kind of like brings it all together. Then when you get down to the 1st floor, and you have retail down there that obviously is both for the community and the students, and then you got the large medical use. So the medical use really kind of, again, partly used by the students, partly used by the community, kind of brings it all together in one building.
Dante, why was it important to mix market rate apartments, non-student apartments, with the student apartments in the same building?
Well, I think you could have done this in 2 separate buildings on the site, because as you can see, it's a very large site. But we thought it was almost intentional that we did this, because we thought it really did show how the town and gown are coming together. There's a lot of collaboration on this whole project, but to actually put it in the same building, and we strongly believe that there's people that want to live amongst the students that aren't students, because it's an exciting atmosphere, and you're in there with everybody else, and we thought that it would be very successful. And you know what? Half the market rate apartments are pre-leased, so I mean, obviously it's working.
And is that the type of audience that you're attracting? What types of folks have pre-leased in this building?
It's a young professional type audience. Some people that are recent graduates of Rowan that have gone on to go to work and they wanted to stay in the community. Other professionals around. There are some faculty members and some administrative folks that are there. So it's a mix. It's a mix. But you're not really bringing the empty nester crowd in here yet, and that might be just because of the size of the apartments. So as we look ahead to some of the future phases, we may start to try and redesign the apartments to try and attract some of the empty nesters as well.
So you mentioned future phases, but let's back up just a little bit. This is actually the 3rd structure that Nexus has been involved with designing and planning and building on Rowan Boulevard. What were the other buildings that are here?
Well, so we did we built across the street the parking garage, 1,200 cars basically for students and to support the retail environment here, as well as the Marriott that sits over on the corner there. So the parking garage functions there. And then we also have the graduate education building with retail on the 1st floor, which was built in conjunction with the parking garage. Again, Rowan leases the top floors of that for the graduate education, professional education programs, and then the 1st floor is all retail, which is now all filled.
So it was intentional for Rowan to bring their graduate and continuing education piece to Rowan Boulevard. Why that particular school?
Well, I think, and I can't speak for the university totally there, but I think in my conversations with Ali is what he saw that because of the professional education component, which attracts adults, a lot of night classes, things like that, not the typical undergrad or even full-time graduate school student. Again, more of a collaboration, more of bringing people down to Rowan Boulevard that are community-based folks that are coming here and can enjoy it.
Dante, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on a beautiful building.
You're very welcome, Heather. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for an exciting episode of Spotlight on Glassboro. There's so much more to come. Additional events in this building where we'll celebrate the opening of retail as well as medical offices in a joint agreement with Inspira and Cooper. And stay tuned because we'll be looking at groundbreakings for 2 additional private phases of development on Rowan Boulevard. Thank you so much.